Our next question is from Davis Soderberg with the National Center for Public Policy Research. CEO Chip Bergh has said that the Georgia voter integrity legislation is racist and represents a significant step backwards for us in the United States. Can you, Mr. Bergh, explain specifically how requiring voters to show ID fraud is racist, and also your timeline for ending all Levi-Strauss requests for ID from job candidates, employees, visitors to your facilities, and attendees at your annual shareholder meetings in conformance with your race-based claim?
I think it's important we step back because I think there are some things that all Americans should be able to agree on. First and foremost, that voting is not a partisan issue, that it's an American issue, that the right to vote is central to democracy. I like to say a democracy only works if every eligible voter votes. And we must come together as a country to protect that right. Democracy needs to work around a free, fair, and equitable access to the polls. As a company, we've been focused on voting and access to voting since before the midterm elections in 2018. We've participated in an organization called timetovote.org with PayPal and Patagonia, and enlisted over 2,000 companies to join us in giving employees time off to vote on election day. The 2020 election had the most Americans vote than any prior election, and it had the highest percentage of eligible voters voting in 120 years. And definitively, it has been one of the safest and most secure elections in the history of voting in this country. Any step backwards is a step away from democracy. Our focus has been advocating for voting rights and civic participation and actively supporting organizations that are working to dismantle barriers to voting designed to disenfranchise communities of color and others in low-income areas. We need to do more. For us, that includes ensuring our advocacy and grant-making focused on voting addresses the wave of discriminatory laws in states like Georgia, but also in states where we have large populations of employees like Texas, Florida, Mississippi, and Kentucky. Right now, there are more than 350 bills moving in 47 states that are designed to restrict voting access. These bills are racist and undemocratic. And by the way, I've never said anything about voter ID. So we are focused and join with more than 170 other companies in signing on to business statements from the Civic Alliance, calling on lawmakers around the country to set aside partisan politics and work together to pass laws that make voting safe and accessible to everyone. And we're supporting federal legislation like the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act to ensure that all voters can participate in their democracy free from discrimination.